Nerd Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
Hello there and welcome everybody to the Fighting Pit. This is the Knights of the Nerd Republic Knights of the Nerd Republic Versus Series Season 4 tournament. Y'all have been sending in your brackets. We got about 10 brackets to work through tonight, so we're going to be counting those down between rounds. I'll explain how the tournament itself works. I'll let people trickle in a little bit here. But before we get all the way in that, Spencer, would you like to explain how the Versus Series works in general?
Yes. So if you have joined us before for a regular season matchup of the Versus Series, each matchup that we see during the regular season is much more in-depth. The premise of the tournament is we're going to cover a lot of the same ideas, a lot of the same material, but in shorter form, since we do have to cover many, many more matchups in the tournament than we do whenever we're just doing a specific matchup during the regular season. So a regular season matchup, we choose two combatants, we read their bios, and to give you, if you're not familiar with the character, give you an idea who they are, and then we will evaluate each combatant in each of 5 categories. So we have their physical attributes, species, height, stature, weight, physical strength. That is all considered in the physical attributes category. And we have their martial arts abilities, second category, evaluating their purely their swordsmanship, their combative ability martially. Also, hand-to-hand fighting comes into that, but not usually. So third category is force ability. What can they do with the force? That integrates pretty well with the martial arts category, but we evaluate them separately to give each their respective nod if necessary. The fourth category, we have weapons and equipment. This is anything from, do they carry a single saber? Do they dual wield? Do they have a saber staff? Do they have a chest plate computer circuit that if fried will just totally incapacitate them? Do they have, like
That was really specific.
a rib cage made of, Durasteel that you can rip open and just shoot with a blaster and kill them? Like this is the what are they bringing to the table that is not as integral to their physicality, and what are their liabilities in that same respect? So there's a lot of different ways to apply that category. We're going to talk through each of those, but I think you get the general idea.
Yeah.
Fifth, and finally, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, we're not going to be like delving into like each one of those individually here. Again, there are time constraints. I'm trying to keep this at about 2 hours tonight, which I think is a hearty helping. So we're going to be kind of talking about them in the macro for the most part. Again, we're not going to be flying through anything, but we are going to be, kind of trying to keep things brisk as much as we can. So, there are going to be some that are going to be open and closed because a lot of these matchups were done at random. So some of these are going to be pretty open and closed. Some of these are going to be, some of them are going to take a little while, especially once we get into like round 2, round 3, and especially the championship round, where the winner of the winner and loser of the losers, or the winner of the losers, will face off against each other. What's that?
5 3/4 minutes. If we were to spend the same amount of time on every single matchup for this entire tournament and still make it in at 2 hours, we would only be able to talk about each matchup for less than 6 minutes. So some matches will be a lot easier to call. So we're not going to keep a running clock, but just so you guys get a sense of how quickly we're going to be moving through some of these matchups.
Yeah.
Some of them will just require hardly any discussion at all. Some of them we're going to need to dive into a bit further. But the fifth and final category is their tactical ability and their battle mindset. So this is a category that more so than any of the others tends to be integrated into the first four as we discuss, but we try to break this one down specifically at the end because this category is going to evaluate what the combatant is thinking about when they go into a battle, whenever they go into a duel, how their strategy is going to change through the course of that, what they consider victory to be. Is this like a Darth Maul against any Jedi ever, where he's like, you're going to end up dead or else like I'm going to end up dead. Like there's no possibility here where there's a draw or like I disarm you and it ends there. Like, am I going to start on defense? Am I going to go full offense? And is that going to change throughout? All of these things are things that go into this category. So,
and again, will be considered in the aggregate. Again, I don't want to say we're gonna yada 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 through some of this stuff, because it's not yada 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 so much as we spent a year talking about all of this. So the implication is like we're familiar. It's time to rock and roll.
Yeah, and somebody like Obi-Wan Kenobi, who we recognize our audience is going to be largely familiar with, just because if you're listening to our live stream, you're a Star Wars fan. So you know who Obi-Wan Kenobi is. So we might have to give some more time to characters who are possibly a little bit less known, like a Kyle Katarn, who shows up this past season, like a Porter Engle, who's only in the novels. I keep saying novelization whenever it's just a novel. It's a curse, I say. Okay. So without further ado,
let's jump into our first matchup. A little bit of fun, this is live TV, this is live radio, everybody. The website I use to manage my tournaments is not working, so I'm going to be live editing a Canva document. So enjoy this sneak peek into the fonts I use for thumbnails. But I'll be taking this off and on. But our first matchup of the night is going to be Kyle Katarn versus Kanan Jarrus. And up top, I think this one is going to be pretty open and close. A lot of people have compared Kyle and Kanan. They both kind of follow that arc of, scoundrel turned Jedi type thing. There are a lot of similarities between them for sure. At the end of the day, Kyle Katarn is the reigning battle master of his era. And while Kanan Jarrus does have a decisive W against the Grand Inquisitor, I want to give him his flowers. Mm-hmm. He's not a battle master. Kanan, on the whole, does not perform that well in any of the fights we really see him in. And it's not like he's going toe-to-toe with somebody who is going to be kind of this like whirling dervish, the way he was able to kind of like piece up Maul when he was blinded, or be able to, center himself to outmaneuver Reva. That said, I don't like Kanan for this matchup. I think, again, just on sheer swordsmanship, I think Kyle has his number, and Kyle also has a wider breadth and more liberal use of force abilities in combat that is going to radically shake Kanan's ability to hang here. So I personally am hard Kyle Katarn on this one.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. Kanan's accomplished and he's skilled. He certainly is well-rounded in terms of both his force ability, but also his force power, just the sheer level of power he's able to exert. But Kanan is outclassed in every respect here. Not to make light again of Kanan's accomplishments or his skill, but Kyle Katarn's just better. They are similar in terms of the character type that they kind of represent, but Battle Master, who it's hard to even give Kyle Katarn like a breakdown, like which forms he favors, because he favors all of them.
Plus he
uses a lot of Taru. He uses a lot of Gemso. He uses a lot of Shicho. He's just all over.
Plus the three rings of defense stuff from the NJO. Exactly, so he's also branched into a realm of lightsaber combat that like pretty much nobody else on the bracket is familiar with. Like a lot of it, like the three rings of defense. At a very yada again, you're gonna yada 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 that. It's kind of like Shicho plus. You know, like it's kind of, you know, like the basic building blocks of lightsaber combat, but like stretched out into its own like AP version. But moving on from that one, Kyle Katarn takes the win there. This is my favorite matchup on the whole bracket. The random number gods blessed me with the Edge Lord du jour. So we're going into Pre-Suit Vader, aka Lord Vader, versus Lord Starkiller, circa the dark side ending of the Force Unleashed 1, basically when he's fighting Luke Skywalker on Hoth. Again, yes, Eli's already getting excited. Edgelord time. We've already started breaking brackets because Kaysen took Kanan over Kyle, but it's okay. It's okay. You'll be able to rack up points as we go here for everybody who submitted a bracket. But anyway, yes, I'm never going to beat the accusations. So this one, as much as I love this matchup, as great as it would be to watch, this is going to be a tough fight for both of them. Again, Anakin Skywalker at this point in his career is coming off of the fact that he just eradicated a temple full of Jedi. You know, he went into I talk about like a marathon lightsaber duel to like gauge how or like an endless gauntlet style waves and waves and waves of enemies, and like how long could somebody last. Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader, Lord Vader did that, which is very impressive. However, Lord Starkiller has a connection to the dark side that like is really hard to overplay. You know, a lot of people talk about Galen Merrick being this busted ass, overpowered force god. And while I don't think that is necessarily true of Galen, we've talked about this a lot on the Versus series proper. I don't think that is too far away from the truth when it comes to Lord Starkiller. You know, this is somebody who was able to disintegrate a force ghost with force lightning. You know, he has the force powers. He has the very liberal use of the force powers. You know, I prefer Lord Starkiller here. He had the juice to take out Darth Vader, which is a much more advanced version of who he's fighting now. You know, and again, you know, A beats B, so therefore A beats C is logic we try to avoid. But like in this specific instance, you have a situation where he fought the upgraded version of this guy and killed him, like in cold blood. So I like Lord Starkiller here. Spencer?
I would say I'm favoring Lord Starkiller. I don't want to place the entire emphasis on this fight on like Anakin Skywalker dancing in a new pair of ballet slippers, and they're not broken in yet, you know. Like he's still Anakin Skywalker combatively, but he's got not completely different, but whereas Anakin would allow kind of his frustration, his passion to seep into his combat. By the time he works his way through the temple, he's had some time to break in those new shoes. But Starkiller has like been breathing the evil that he puts out combatively for some time now. And he's not only a trained killer, he's a trained Jedi killer in the way that Lord Vader has not yet come into his own in that respect.
For sure. That is a fantastic point.
Pre-suit Vader is still really, really, really dangerous. I mean, as a Jedi, Anakin is top 5 in the entire order by the end of the Clone War combatively, and with that unhampered dark side rage, Vader is more dangerous than he's ever been, but not as dangerous as he ever will be. And so
I like that a lot. I really like the way you phrase that. I agree.
And I think
I
Lord
agree.
Starkiller is like the most dangerous version of that character. And like setting aside the over the top video game mechanics because nobody likes to play realistic Star Wars games because it'd be boring. Like Galen Merrick as Lord Starkiller is insanely powerful just in his raw talent, but also has spent years training specifically to hunt down and kill Jedi for a Darth Vader who's like, like this is child's play for me, but it's a challenge for you. You can kind of clean up my dirty work. So like I am more torn than I think I'm sounding right now. But I think combatively, here's the deciding factor for me. Combatively, Pre-Suit Vader has not had time to explore the force application of his dark side rage. Whereas with Lord Starkiller, that is completely realized. Like he is
Yeah.
shooting torrents of lightning on like the top tier level of application. Vader
Yeah.
hasn't even touched that yet.
Yeah. I would say it's only like a half a step to a step below Sidious. Like,
Yeah.
we're talking about flash frying people.
Is that the only thing that matters in this situation? No, but Vader's just not quite comfortable in his own evil skin quite yet. Whereas I think Starkiller is he's just eating it up. He's loving every second of it. So I'm prepared to give this one to Starkiller. A tough fight for sure.
Oh
but
yeah.
I think decidedly, in my opinion, goes decidedly in favor of Starkiller, which
All right.
I already just sense a lot of upsets in this bracket.
Yeah, I mean, we already seeing the Taylor, hi honey, already saying brackets are busted, brackets are busted. Again, the way this is going to work is for each one you get right in each round, you will get points.
Mhm.
So just because you've lost one doesn't mean your whole bracket is shot.
Yeah.
What is this now? My bracket is busted. Oh, you put Starkiller? Good job, honey. So moving on, we have Porter Angle, circa the Blade versus Maul, as he is the Mandalore. So this is Siege of Mandalore Maul versus Porter Angle, circa the events of the Blade, the High Republic comic. This is tough, and I'm not going to lie to you. This is hard. This is hard. This is hard. I think I like Porter for this. But this is going to be like one of the fights of Porter Angle's life. Like this is almost as hard as as the original matchup we did with person in the chat busting my balls. But you're absolutely right. I want to book Sam Witwer. But it's almost in the opposite direction. I think that what is going to seal the deal for Porter here is that I think that he has the agility and the physical strength to be able to ward off Maul and engage Maul in the kind of marathon fight that he specializes in. I think the light dagger is going to come super in handy with just how all over the place Maul can be. I've always said that I think Darth Maul, again, in like a Jedi Temple situation, Maul could probably, glide through about 90% of the Jedi Order, but once he hits that wall, he's going to hit it hard. And I think this is the beginning of that wall. I don't think it's easy. I don't think anyone's getting dog walked here. Nobody's walking away unscathed. I like Porter Angle for this.
I am inclined to agree, but this one for me, I'm going to need to talk through for just a minute.
Okay.
Because comparing as close as we can, I'm trying to think of someone comparable to Porter that I'm more familiar with Maul having gone up against. And it's tough because like
The
Porter,
closest you can do is Maul and Dooku and Son of Dathomir. Like that is the closest you can get
yeah,
because
that's
it's like
pretty
Maul
much.
versus a Makashi savant.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think that Porter's got the physical stamina required to keep pace with Maul for as long as he would need to, I
And
think.
Maul's gonna get hot. Maul's gonna get hot fast fighting somebody as stalwart and serene as Porter Angle.
Yeah, and Porter avoids expending unnecessary energy too. And so like his application of Makashi is going to be very very efficient, I think, going up against somebody like Maul. But he's also going to be prepared, I think, to meet Maul's energy if he sees if he needs to get more aggressive, if he thinks that that's necessary, then I'm sure that he'd be able to match Maul's energy, his mobility, I suppose. Mm, I think this duel comes down almost exclusively to swordsmanship. I feel
Oh yeah, I mean,
like
there's not enough
Maul,
time to really focus your force abilities fighting Maul, and Maul's
yeah,
simply not going to use his. So this is
Maul.
almost a straight sword fight.
I think we're dealing here as well with two combatants that relish the sword fight too much to like think about force abilities unless they're in a bind. Like these are sportsmen. Like
Yeah,
Maul in a horrible, terrifying, ferocious, like bloodthirsty kind of way. Porter in um, a student of the craft kind of a
yeah.
way. Cut from the very same cloth as Dooku in that sense, that like he is a student of the form and he wants to perfect his application of it. I don't
Well,
think that
much like
force
one of the
abilities
people in
can
the
play
next
much of a
matchup,
role.
like he's a student of like the history of the lightsaber.
Mm,
Like Stellan Geos like is
yeah.
very reverent to like how important the lightsaber is to the culture of the Jedi Order. Um Whereas Maul is almost like a personification of that, like, shitty maxim Sidious had of like, we
Hmm,
practice lightsaber combat if for no other reason than to taunt the Jedi, where it's
hmm.
like, I've been honed into a weapon that is designed to kill Jedi. I just don't think Maul can kill this Jedi.
Yeah, was it Porter or was it Stellan? I'm getting my dudes confused here. That like I think it was Stellan, right? That people like Jedi would be like, dude, can I spar you, please? It would be my honor. That was
It is
Stellan,
Porter.
wasn't
It
it?
is Porter. It is Porter.
Are you sure?
Yeah, Stellan has a moment in Rising Storm where he's like sparring another Jedi like for the news, and it's a whole thing.
Oh,
But
right,
Porter's
right,
the
right,
one
right,
that
right,
people are
right,
like,
right.
"Oh shit, man, you're Porter Angle. Like, let me, let's go a couple rounds."
Right. There, okay, there it is. I spotted it in the notes. That's right. Yeah. So different times, definitely. Like Porter is a swords master in a time where swords masters are more or less irrelevant, practically speaking, and Maul is a swords master basically in a time where there's a lot of people fighting at the so this is like we say, like the practice goes a long way, like
Yeah.
having actually fought and survived a number of opponents goes a long way. um I'm I'm still thinking Porter is the man here.
I think so too. If you're willing to lock that one down, we can move on to the next match.
Yeah, I'll lock Porter down.
Okay, cool. So we got Porter Angle going over on Maul Mandalore. Speaking of Mandalore, people who fought in the Siege of Mandalore and High Republic Jedi Stellan Geos versus Commander Ahsoka Tano. Ahsoka
another somewhat challenging one. Not
yeah,
Not
I think
as, but-
not as, but still tough. I think Ahsoka is a prodigy of a Jedi. She was brought up collectively by three of the greats of her era, between Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Plo Koon. She is a product of some of the greatest that were produced by that era. She's fought and defeated Asajj Ventress. She's fought General Grievous to a standstill. She, again, with a little bit of trickery and fuckery, was able to defeat Maul, very, very by a hair, but she was still able to get that W. But again, I don't think Ahsoka, I truly, like, again, it's tough. Like, they're both good, or she's great. But like, I can't see Ahsoka pulling a W on a Jedi Master. Not one of this caliber. Not yet. I don't think she has the juice to take on Stellan. I think Stellan, on a technical, on a fundamental, on a physical level, outclasses her. Again, she's gonna fight like hell. And it's gonna be, I think Stellan's gonna have to work for it. But
am I missing Stellan's stat sheet? I can't find it anywhere.
It's somewhere in there.
For those of you
Stellan
don't
Geo
see-
stats. Type that into the drive.
STELL.
AN.
Oh, there it is. I was like, how does this search bar work? Like, I type in STELL, nothing comes up. I type AN, and it's like, oh, hello, we found it. Good gracious. Anyway, I am less certain with this one. But I'm getting more certain with this one. Man, we have seen Ahsoka circa the Siege of Mandalore do some pretty bananas stuff.
Yeah.
For someone as young as she is, it's ridiculous that I'm thinking about it this hard against Stellan.
Yeah, like that is the great compliment to Ahsoka Tano is, on paper, she should not be.
She should just be dead.
Yeah, this shouldn't be a question, but she's not old enough to vote in our universe, but like, she fought General Grievous to a standstill.
Yeah, and even by the time of Siege, I mean, she fought Maul. She beat Maul, arguably, without any of the trickery that went on. Like, she kicked him through a window.
Yeah, she Wile E. Coyote'd him through the window.
She embarrassed. I will use that word. She embarrassed Lord Maul, like, classically trained Sith Lord, Jedi killer. She embarrassed him.
Based, Taylor. Based. Like, truly,
I don't think she's quite there.
Not yet. That's the thing, is that she had the potential. Like, had the Order not fallen, had she stayed around or like come back after the war, like, she would have been one of like the great capital J Jedi of all time. It's circumstance that prevents her from like holding that title in a literal sense, but I don't think she can take this one just yet. Like, Ahsoka circa her own TV show, that's a different conversation.
Yeah. I'm ready to call
All right.
it. Yeah, Stellan's the guy.
All right, Stellan Gios is the winner for this round. All right, moving on over to the other side of the bracket. These are the people who lost their matchups. but are still contenders nonetheless with another open and shut case. Jedi Master Dooku versus Dagon Gera.
Yeah.
Dagon Gera has a lot of fun little tricks up his sleeve. The one that still has an arm, of course. The Force Visions, wielding a saber staff with one hand. Very impressive stuff. Very impressive stuff. At the end of the day, we're dealing with a Jedi who is legendary in his own time. You know, there's a reason why we did Porter v. Dooku. It's because these are the two like best straight up sword fighters of their eras. I don't think Dagon Gera stands a chance. I think, again, you do the thing that we say all the time on the show, like run the simulation 1,000 times. I think any of the times Dagon Gera ekes out a win, it is because he did some ridiculous bullshit with his lightsaber and like manipulating it with the Force that catches Dooku unawares. But like, this is also the same guy who would go on to be responsible for training General Grievous. So I think that somewhere in his mind, like he understands, like there are crazy things you can do with a lightsaber that go beyond the norm. So yeah, I think Dagon might be able to get in his head a little bit, but I do not think Dagon can secure this like at all.
Yeah, I think. I mean, Dooku. You're right. Like, is it possible that Dooku loses to some weird trickery that Dagon tries to pull? Sure, it's possible. I can think of very few. I'm going to qualify this down so that it sounds like a huge feat, right? I can't think of very many people in the realm of single form using swordsmen who are as highly favored for any given matchup as Count Dooku. Like, removing all the battle masters, like removing the multi-form specialists, like Dooku is a one form specialist. And
he knows a lot about the others, but he only uses two.
He knows how to beat the others. He doesn't use any of the others. He just knows enough about them to be able to beat them. And like Dagon is unhinged and he's kind of unpredictable. Could that beat Dooku? Sure. Screech it. Good. I like it.
Sensational.
I haven't, just for the folks on the stream, I have not been paying any attention to what's going on in the stream. I'm just trying to keep up with the scorekeeping for the brackets. But I popped on to see that one. So thank you, Eli. But yeah, Dooku's the guy. I'm giving it to Dooku.
So Dooku goes over Dagon Gera. This is another one, maybe a hot take. I think is open and shut. Reva dog walks Qui-Gon Jinn.
That is a hot take.
Reva sons Qui-Gon.
That is a hot take.
I think truly, if you mix her ferocity, her speed, just that alone, that's going to put Qui-Gon on his back foot. And like Qui-Gon is somebody who can get gassed. So that is already an issue for Qui-Gon. Then you factor in how exotic her weapon is. Like, I don't know if Qui-Gon is ready to deal with somebody who has the options in combat of single blade, saber staff, twin sabers, buzzsaw. And I think, again, going off of Reva's psychology, because we're using like Grand Inquisitor, like Reva during her day as the Grand Inquisitor, right? With her in that like psychological state, you take her and you give her a shot at Obi-Wan's master. She is coming at him like a bat out of hell. I do not like Qui-Gon's odds. I will say it until the day I die, Qui-Gon Jinn is one of my favorite Star Wars characters of all time. The man is not a good lightsaber duelist. At least not in terms of like a versus setting. Like he is a competent warrior. He is an incredible protector and defender. But I don't think he has the gas to deal with Riva. Like Maul's saber staff was way too much for him in terms of the speed and aggression that goes with that weapon. Now imagine it spinning 360 degrees on its own while being swung at you. I do not think Qui-Gon has the juice for that. I truly don't.
I am struggling to admit a well-formed opinion on this one. I will be honest in saying I do not remember visually much of Riva's style other than her just being like ridiculously ferocious. But removing the rage from ferocity, that's kind of Qui-Gon. Like he's a fast-paced speed fighter. And you're right. Like he runs hot and he runs out of gas really fast.
Also, Eli, you're absolutely right, and that's why I rarely use Qui-Gon. I only use him when I'm itching to talk about Qui-Gon.
I gotta review some stats.
Just like again, like using his fight against Maul as a blueprint. Like
Qui-Gon was playing directly into Maul's hands here. In the Duel of the Fates for sure. And like, yes, Riva is very aggressive, and she does employ a lot of fast-paced offensive maneuvers and some surprises here and there. I mean, even though Qui-Gon is a speed fighter, it was an aggressive, crafty speed fighter that killed him. And Riva is an aggressive, crafty speed fighter.
Yeah. And again, like, you can't go without saying, like, the Inquisitors are, died in the wool Jedi killers. Like their express existence is to take out your kind of run-of-the-mill Jedi. And while Qui-Gon philosophically, spiritually is not your run-of-the-mill Jedi, he's not really bringing anything special to the table as a combatant.
True. I think to give Qui-Gon a nod, he didn't need to be that combative in his time. Qui-Gon is very much a product of his time.
He's a peacetime
Riva
Jedi.
is very much a product of hers. And so in that sense, she's more formidable for this sort of combat. Like, do I think that Maul is more dangerous than Riva? Absolutely, I think that. So does it really matter that it was the first time Qui-Gon had ever crossed blades with a real combatant? Maybe, but it was a combatant that was a lot. She is a combatant that in some ways is a lot like Maul, and as much I like. Oh man, if there was the option to abstain, but there's just two of us.
Yeah. I was just saying, like a fun, bracket, like the Jedi Council one or like the Sith one I want to try to do by the end of the month. We could abstain and throw it to the chat because we also have guests, but here we got to make a call.
I know. If the call must be made, then I say give it to Riva, and because we can't spend too much time, and I think that a sound case is argued in favor of Riva. I don't know. Have we ever revisited a tournament matchup in depth in a later season?
I don't think we ever got around to doing it, but I would like. I mean, if you want to do like a special episode to like go all in on talking Riva versus Qui-Gon, I'd love to.
I don't know if I'm like really sold on that idea, but I'm just like, man, it seems like there's a longer conversation to be had on this one. And I would totally have it if we went that route.
All right. So Riva defeats Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn. Moving on, we have two people who may or may not have dropped the ball during Operation Nightfall: Shaak Ti and Sindralig. This is a fun matchup. Again, Sindralig, Battle Master at the time. I think Sindralig is kind of like the middle of the pack Battle Master. He is good. He's not great. Again, in the pantheon of the Battle Masters.
Oh yeah.
He's in contention with.
You have to be pretty stinking cool to just become a Battle Master. But is he the best of all Battle Masters? No.
But Chaos Sendarachi is not.
Yeah. Lord Hothi is not.
Lord Hoth.
Even Lord Hoth is like on the lower end of the upper echelon, I think. But
I think that's a solid take. But yeah, no, I like Shaak for this. I think she has a very specialized form. Like I've said this before, Shaak Ti and Ki-Adi-Mundi are like two sides of the same coin, where Shaak Ti is like, Ataru by way of Makashi, and Ki-Adi-Mundi is Makashi by way of Ataru. She has the precision mixed with the acrobatics. I think she's a more powerful force user. I like Shaak Ti for this one. Again, it's going to be tight. It's going to be close. I take Shaak. Spencer? Wait. Oh my God. Coming from the top rope, it's Shaak Ti.
Oh man. No. 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 Just no.
Taylor's watching the stream in the living room, and I heard my Green Goblin cackle from here on the TV. It's got to be. I don't think Sin takes this, man. I really don't.
It's so this is like why I hate speed chess. Like if you want to play chess, I'll play chess. But like don't ask me to perform well in doing speed chess. Like
I know, but that's the novelty of doing this bracket.
I know.
There's a reason why the Versus series are 2-hour long episodes.
I know, but it's just like I feel like I'm giving our loyal listeners a subpar version of myself.
Oh no, they know if they want the full thing, you got to subscribe at the $5 tier at patreon.com/the Nerd Academy podcast.
If they want my $5 thoughts, they'll have to subscribe. If they want my free to the world live stream thoughts, they've come to the right place. No, I'm kidding. I don't hold back on you guys. I just am bad at.
Spencer Simpson is a man who will always give you the full ass.
What? Oh, what is it? Turn your other cheek as well. Is that it?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's quite that easy, but it's been like a week and a half since I re-listened to the Jedi Council episode that we did, and I remember Shaak just being so controversial a matchup even then.
I know.
And I don't even remember what was said about her.
I mean, she's a master, sword fighter. She's a great military tactician. She almost killed Galen Merrick, in Legends and like semi in canon as, survived General Grievous.
Yeah. It's like, All right, fine. We'll get like
I think the issue is that
something
you have had to
doesn't
make
sit well.
really hard decisions about characters
just-
you really like consecutively.
No, it's not that I'm like coming to bat for Syndralig on the regular. It's just like something about making the decision that quickly just is not sitting well with me. But I can't come up with a good enough. Like my thoughts can't get any traction on behalf of Syndralig. Like there's nothing standing out. It's just like, but wait a minute, what about this? I'm okay with. I mean, I'm not okay with the decision for Shaak Ti, but I'm okay with it. You know,
It's Lando and Solo. I don't like it. I don't understand it, but I accept it.
Yeah, I can't think of a compelling enough reason to say no. Like with the amount of time that we have, this is the wrong decision. I would so come back to Shaak versus Sin and Qui-Gon versus Reva in full length episodes. Or even like, what if we did, just because we don't have enough going on, you and me, in our schedule, Jared? What if we did a bonus versus series episode?
That's just unpacking tournament matchups.
Where we like, because so far there's been 2. We're almost through round 1, but so far there's been 2 that I'm like, man, this deserves some more unpacking. What if we did, like, instead of full length episodes on Qui-Gon versus Reva and Shaak versus Syndralig, we did like 20 minutes each, like a mini, not even like just like a triple header, a double header, triple header, however many we end up with. On like a really tough decision, just to unpack them a little bit for fun.
Yeah, to steal a terminology from Jen Sarai, because I haven't plagiarized the man enough, do like a versus strike zone, but kind of like unpacking contentious matchups in the tournament.
Right, not a full length episode, but not like 6 minutes of
just do like this the season 4 tournament post mortem.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Moving on to our final matchup of round 1 before we take a little breaky and tabulate some scores here for our bracket submittees. We have Cal Kestis, circa the end of Jedi Survivor, versus General Grievous. I think this is going to be a really intense and vicious fight. I think at the end of the day, Cal has a craftiness. He has an unconventional. That's a word. And diversity in tactics of weaponry that I do not think Grievous is kind of prepared to deal with. You know, I also think Cal, uses the Force in very inventive ways. That, like, when you're dealing with someone like Grievous, like, again, we've talked about how, like translating video games to how they would like practically be used in, a more traditional media. Like, even if Force slow only lasts a couple seconds at most, being able to slow Grievous, that kind of neuters him. If he's getting ready to like do his little spider skitter at you, or he's coming at you with like the whirlwind of death, being able to just and get out of the way, that's a game changer. And I think Cal has proven that he can handle people who outclass him in terms of size and strength in the Ninth Sister. We saw him, eke out a win on Kashyyyk against the Ninth Sister, but 5 years later, he bodies her quite literally. Like, he just beheads her very easily. And while I'm not necessarily saying that Ninth Sister and General Grievous are comparable in terms of their skill and their fighting style. However, I do think they're comparable in terms of like, can Cal contend with somebody who is a brick shithouse who can fly at you like a bullet? So I like Cal for this one a lot, actually. And I do. Eli said it. I gotta let this one ring out. One moment, because Cal Kestis.
Cut that dog.
Anyway.
I mean, Yeah, if we're going Cal Survivor, he's got as much versatility in his equipment configurations, like with his sabers and stuff. He's got as much versatility as Grievous has with 4 sabers. He's got a speed that is necessary to just keep up with the number of blades that are coming at him, but he's got an amount of strength that is enough to match Grievous. Maybe not head on, but like he can hit back reasonably hard for how hard Grievous is hitting him. Yeah, I mean, like he does favor, we think, like still the single bladed style, but he's got a lot of momentum. But like, I mean, thinking of he's got a lot of speed to complement the amount of power that he's got, and the force of it. Like with somebody like Grievous, as a purely martial arts evaluating category, like Grievous is just fighting with his swords. He has no force abilities to help him out, and I feel like force slow is going to be unbelievably effective against somebody like Grievous, who has no telekinetic barrier whatsoever. Like he might as this seems too easy for Cal, like with how fast he can fight and the fact that he's even slowing down Grievous. I just don't think that this is a good matchup for Grievous.
No.
So yeah, that was even, I think, a longer explanation than I think it may be required, but
yeah, and because Spencer is the best, I didn't realize you were already tabulating people's scores as we went.
I have been, which is also why our audience has been getting like half-baked Spencer thoughts, because sorting through 10 different brackets and deciding, like I've got 3 different windows of browser open right now as I'm trying to sort through everybody. By the way, those of you who submitted brackets and you put your own name on the graphic, thank you. So I don't have to like exit out of the tournament bracket to find out whose name is on the email and then open it back up again to see.
Yeah, that's
like.
my fault. That I should have put
No. This I'm not bashing anybody. And Taylor, because she did hers in pink, so that one's easy. and also Alden, because the person he had winning the bracket, he used their nickname spectacularly as the winner. So I
believe Alden put over Porter Angle, and he put the motherfucking blade, if I'm correct.
He sure did. So I'm like, yep, that's Alden.
Did you get everybody for round 1 then?
Not quite. If you want to do blues,
yeah,
I'll do oranges
blues real quick. So stand by as we knock this out real quick, folks. So all we need left is that last matchup, correct?
Correct. There should be 7. Yeah,
I'm filling in number 8. All right. Got to go over to Scotty J. Rowe. Enjoy this great radio, everybody, while Spencer and I just kind of mumble and sigh as we make our way through these. All right. Scotty, just as a little spoiler for what people are putting over, Scotty had Lord Starkiller going all the way, and I asked him in the group chat we're at, I'm like, what's your rationale for Lord Starkiller? And he sent voice messages, and I'm going to yell, so apologies, but these are the voice messages. He went, Monster Energy Drink! Axe Body Spray! That's why he thinks Lord Starkiller will win. He's fully edgelord pilled on this one.
Wow,
indeed. All right,
we've got, just at a glance over here in the oranges, we've got some heavy hitting predictors up in here.
Yeah, we have a couple who are like going hard in the paint. one of whom I will not give by name, but I might happen to live with her. I did not give her any guidance, and she kind of did this on vibes alone, and her bracket's looking kind of tough right now,
I
man.
know she is
It's
the
kind of
embodiment.
stacked.
She is the embodiment of like all of the sports dudes' girlfriends that fill out their March Madness brackets just on which team's colors they like the best and end up winning it all. You know, that's the vibe I'm getting right now.
Yeah. Like Taylor went hard. She told me when she picked me up from work, she was like, this is based solely on what I've heard you say in passing. And I was like, hey man, whatever works. All right. Well, look, I will say there are a couple people who had some rough round ones. Almost everybody got that last point.
Yeah.
So, and the way the points work is round 1 you get 1 point, round 2 you get 2 points, round 3 you get 3 points per person you have correct.
Yeah, and if you predict the overall winner, you get 4 points.
Yes. So with that,
do we want to say that? I don't want to say who, but do we want to say
what our leading numbers are?
What the leading score is right now?
Yeah, the leading score.
Well, wait a minute, because I'm thinking maybe not, unless we just put something out there that's like, hey, if you're listening, and if this is you, don't blow it and don't like do a victory lap in the chat. Just keep an element of suspense. Like, can we get a verbal, like as verbal as you can get? Don't blow it.
We have listen. The first two are a point away between each other. I'll say that.
That is I am satisfied with
that. There is time for round 2 upsets.
There is
that could change,
especially when we're doubling the point values. There's a lot of time for some upsets.
So, as a brief recap, going in to the part of the bracket that is going to go by much further, we have Kyle Katarn going into round 2, Lord Starkiller, Porter Angle, and Stellan Gios joining him on the winner's side, and among the losers, Jedi Master Dooku, Third Sister Riva, Shakti, and Cal Kestis moving on to round 2. And now they will be facing the characters who got a bye into round 2 because we thought putting them in round 1 would be a little bit busted, and we needed to make this math work. So,
yeah, good point about
I expect to get no further. Honestly, yes, but it's because Jordan almost always talks about Star Wars and by osmosis. I remember no names. And Eli chiming in and say, well, it doesn't matter because I'm still right on this bracket. Eli, your opinions are do not shape our own. So going into our first match of round 2, we have Kyle Katarn versus Darth Vader. Vader wins. Moving on. No, I'm kidding.
So yeah, you just in one Mississippi made Eli's brain explode. I think.
I know. I don't remember who he has in round 2 for this match, but I'm going to full screen myself for a second.
All right.
I'm tired of these accusations. I'm tired of everybody telling me that I'm a Darth Vader meat rider who cannot objectively look me in my eyes and tell me that I can't look at these matchups and take my fandom out of it. I already let Darth Vader take an L in this stream. I let one of my favorite Jedi take an L in this stream.
It's true. Preach.
Okay, so stop saying I'm a Darth Vader meat rider. And I'm going to continue to prove that. Kyle Katarn is a Vader killer. We briefly talked. This is the only potential matchup we talked about pre-stream, and it was because I was laughing about how everybody's going to be like, "Yeah, Jared's going to take Vader to the end." Kyle Katarn. So, as I've said before, the best ways to be able to eliminate Darth Vader, you can't just be faster than him, and you can't just be stronger than him. You have to be able to meet him on a technique level. Because most people are faster than Darth Vader. And most people who are stronger than Darth Vader don't quite have his technique. But if you have the skill to back up the speed and the skill to back up the strength, that is a huge, huge danger for him. Kyle Katarn has the speed. He's strong enough to weather the storm. He absolutely has the technique, and he has force powers that spell disaster for Darth Vader at sacrifice. A little bit of Steiner math in there for the kids.
Yeah.
I think Kyle is going to be able to deftly maneuver around Darth Vader. I think that it's going to be tight. There's nobody in Star Wars can fight Darth Vader and it not be the fight of their life. But
by
and
that
I
same
see
token, nobody can fight Kyle Katarn and not also have it be the fight of their life, I think.
And Donovan, our friend over for the Republic, goes, "Damn, I forgot Kyle can use Force Lightning," which is the other thing. Kyle makes very liberal use of his Force abilities. Not only is going to be able to maneuver around Vader, not only is he going to be able to match him for strength for the most part, he's going to be able to pacify him with Force Lightning. And again, Darth Vader's my boy. He's my guy. I don't think Vader makes it out of this one. I really don't. And it pains me that we only get to talk about Darth Vader once in this whole stream. Because 9 times out of 10, I see Vader, kind of cleaning house in these situations. Taylor, oh no, my Sith Lord, he's broken. But yeah, I see Kyle. I think Kyle goes over on Vader.
I agree. I mean, another great example of a character that, due to just how Legends he is, doesn't get a lot of recognition. I'm a visual guy, and for a medium of art as visual as sword fighting is and as visual as Star Wars is, like, there's a reason why reading a Star Wars novel account of a sword fight, of a lightsaber battle, is just so clunky. It's because it wasn't meant for that medium. So it's hard to really put into perspective characters like Kyle Katarn against somebody like Vader, who we've seen a lot of. But like, even then, the style, the sheer power that is conveyed about Kyle Katarn is substantial, and the fact that he's got a commingling of what are conventionally considered dark side, light side force abilities. Like, he can use lightning, and that's kind of Vader's kryptonite. Is if you can disable him, he's half machine. Like, he's running on circuitry. And so you got it like that. That in itself is not enough to beat Vader, but it in itself is enough to seriously tip the scales against him. And with the sheer swordsmanship that Kyle is also bringing to the table, that is a KO punch that comes in like round 15.
Yeah.
And it's a slugfest.
Yeah, I mean, not to dwell on another person who's still on the bracket, but like, it's what helped Starkiller kill Vader. Like, it's that combination of, like, you have the skill to back up the speed and the force powers to bring to bear, and lightning is a factor against Darth Vader. It is what killed him at the end of the day, like, canonically killed him, at least. Yeah. And real quick, Donovan, I beg to differ. I think Kyle beats pre-suit Vader much easier than Darth Vader. But again, maybe that goes into the Versus series post-mortem that we talk about later, if Spencer disagrees with me. But
I don't. I think we're in agreement on this one, at least.
Excellent. Well, we're going to put Kyle over. Kyle Katarn defeats Darth Vader in round 2. Moving on to Edgelord Battle Round 2. Electric Boogaloo, Lord Starkiller versus Darth Krayt. I don't want to... When I say something is open and shut, I don't mean it because I think someone gets dog walked necessarily. I just think that, like, I feel pretty confident in my prediction here.
Yeah.
Lord Starkiller is incredible. He's very powerful. He is a savant of the dark side. He's not Darth Krayt.
He is not
Darth Krayt. Darth Krayt outclasses Lord Starkiller at every step of the way. He is more powerful. He has more skill. Like, Darth Krait's battlefield kills rank in the thousands.
Mhm.
I don't think Lord Starkiller can handle him. I don't. I get he'll put up a hell of a fight, and I think Darth Krayt will be like, "Damn, like you want to be in the one Sith?" But not here. Not today. I think
No.
Darth Krayt handily defeats Lord Starkiller. Spencer, any thoughts?
I completely agree. Just because a decision is quick doesn't mean that it's a complete cakewalk. But again, it was like, who are we talking about? It was Kanan versus Kyle, where I said, like, nothing against Kanan, he's just completely out of his class. And like, Lord Starkiller is ridiculously powerful, ridiculously skilled, but he's not Darth Krayt.
No.
You don't want to mess with Lord Starkiller, but Starkiller does not want to mess with Darth Krayt.
No.
So yeah, I'm with you.
Moving on to our next matchup in round 2, one that I love. Like, this is one, Spencer, I think we could revisit as a full episode, and we might even have a different takeaway by the end. Mace Windu versus Porter Engle. Shit. What are you thinking going into this one? Because this is one that that like, when we put Porter over, I was scared. Part of me was hoping that like you would sway me to the Maul side, because I think Maul v Windu is a lot easier than Maul v Porter.
Yeah, I mean, this is a challenging one, because with someone like Windu, of course, we're talking about like, Windu combatively is a whirlwind of a Jedi. I mean, he mastered the ferocity form to the point where it wasn't like he was like, "Come on, man, give me a challenge." Like, this ain't no thing. So he created a variant of Form 7, which is already like one of the most dangerous forms, just inherently. I would say any one of the 7 forms, when mastered, is very dangerous. But just like, all else being equal, Vapad is arguably the most dangerous form to go against. And he created it, he's mastered it. He has skill in all the forms, but he's just got this unbelievable amount of martial prowess behind him, not to mention his force ability. I mean, and these are practical force abilities too.
Yes.
Like, these aren't even his theoretical, even his book learning type stuff is like still really like, Shatterpoint is both theoretical and combatively practical at the same time. You can't say that about a lot of the academic force powers. But he's very gifted in telekinesis. He's got that impressive force barrier, but he's also got force speed and force strength and Shatterpoint, which is that like more academic ability, but that really comes in handy, that he can find a weak spot in the force to exploit. Porter Engle, on the other hand, is incredibly deft, to use a word that I like that you used a little bit ago, in his blade work. Not unbeatable, but specializes in saber combat. He's a Form 2 specialist. So both of these combatants are coming at this from a primarily swordsmanship perspective, and they both I think, I don't know what I think. I think whereas Porter uses a much more measured approach, Mace Windu does not appear to be measured, but still is. Like, it's easy to look at Porter Engle and say, wow, that guy has got it all under control, because like he doesn't use excessive movements. He doesn't lash out. He doesn't use very passionate looking movements. Mace does, but he's no less controlled in his movements than Porter.
Yeah.
He's just much more seemingly aggressive in it. Now, man, I don't know. This is a tough matchup.
I think
The only other thing I'll say is I think as an Akrukian, Porter's physicality allows him to withstand someone like Mace Windu much more easily than others. So I don't foresee Porter tiring because Mace's form is so voracious. That's the last observation. I'll go ahead.
I think Mace takes this. I think it's the beauty of what happens when you give a Jedi access to Form 7. In Porter's time, Vapad didn't exist, but Juya does not see the usage that it once did. So Porter has not really fought anybody who utilizes the ferocity form. So there's going to be a level of novelty to that.
Right.
Porter's also going to be like, okay, ferocity form, that means you're going to coming at me like the Tasmanian devil. Very much not true about Mace. And I think that what makes Mace so special is that he is a controlled hurricane. No pun intended with the hurricane crystal thing from Legends. But like he is a hurricane of a duelist. And I think that he is going to be able to bring to bear a level of skill and aggression that I don't think Porter is prepared for. The reason why I like Porter over Maul is because that ferocity inevitably turns you into like a foaming at the mouth lunatic. Mace is going to be able to lay into Porter in a way that I don't think many other people can. I think this is going to be the most challenging on a skill level fight Mace Windu has ever engaged in. Like on skill. Like, yeah, like fighting Darth Sidious is an insane thing to do. But by the same token, it's still doable. It's still feasible. And, a lot of that is like, it is based around like the totality of his abilities being able to bring them to bear against Sidious. Where here it is all about technique. I think it's all going to be about how does Mace stack up against somebody who on a technical level is his equal in many ways. He's also, again, why I think this is more challenging, that he isn't able to rely on like the special sauce of Vapad. There is not going to be anger or hatred coursing through Porter that he can filter through himself into the light. So it's going to be just straight, what is Mace Windu capable of doing with a sword? And I think at the end of the day, I think Mace has more juice than Porter here.
I don't know if I would say Mace has more juice than Porter. I think that if Mace takes it, it's going to be because Mace's blade work is well enough suited for Porter's defenses to be able to outmaneuver it. I mean, Form 2 is by its nature a very efficient form, and Porter Engle is by his nature a very like efficient fighter. Like he doesn't do anything in excess really in combat. But you like where Mace could get the better of Porter in maneuverability, Porter still makes up in his Ataru skill. Like he's primarily a Form 2. By far, he's Form 2, but he also has skill in Forms 4 and 5. And the precision of the defensive capability of Form 5, I think, is going to help him against Mace. And the maneuverability of Form 4 is going to do the same thing. Like he's going to be able to meet Mace's maneuverability, and I don't think he's going to get tired out. So I don't know if it's as much about juice as it is about power. Like Mace doesn't.
Oh, when I say, I mean,
hard.
I know I've said juice in terms of energy before. I just mean like he has the sauce.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like he has what it takes to be able to defeat Porter Angle is what I mean.
I think he does. I mean, Mace isn't a heavy hitter. I wouldn't call Mace a heavy hitter, but he hits hard. And when he's also fighting like an organized maniac, hitting hard is really dangerous. I don't think that there's a lot of this that comes down to forceability. I want to put that out there because Mace's telekinetic barrier is very respectable, and even though Porter uses the force in some really creative ways in the midst of combat, oh, excuse me, little treat for the listeners. In the midst of combat, it's not going to come down to the force for me. It's going to come down to blade work, and I think Mace. Well, I should amend my statement. It's not going to come down to offensive, combative force use.
That's it. I agree with. I knew what you meant, but I think it's good you clarified that.
Mace's shatter point isn't the deciding factor here, but it tips the scale enough in Mace's favor to make me comfortable giving it to him. As much as I love Porter, and as much as I wanted to just shake Alden's hand as he watched Porter ride the bracket all the way to victory. I think that
I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if I gave Alden Diaz free TNAP merch. I would not be able to sleep. I would take down our TeePublic page.
I'm comfortable giving this one to Mace.
All right,
but man, there are so many in this tournament this year that are like, man, those deserve a full length discussion.
Yeah. We might revisit this. To like this might be the one that turns into a full length episode down the road. Not this season because we already have Mace lined up for a matchup, but season 6. So moving on to our last matchup on the winner's side, halfway through round 2, we have Stellan Gios versus Luke Skywalker, Jedi Master Luke Skywalker, circa Shadow of the Sith. This is another tight one. I like Luke for this. One. I think Luke has, by this point, Luke has an academic understanding of of the art of lightsaber combat. We have Eli. We're not going to talk about Ochi motherfucking of Bestoon. No. No. Yes, anime hero Luke Skywalker. Yeah, correct in that. We're not talking about Ochi. Stop.
The placement.
Eat a sandwich.
The placement of your MFing it caught me off guard.
Ochi of motherfucking Bestoon. Motherfucking Ochi of Bestoon probably made more sense.
It was like Ochi MFing of Bestoon. That was funny.
Thank you. It makes me happy that after all these years, I can still make Spencer laugh. Oh,
we're like an old married couple.
We are. So let's talk about Ochi. Sure. No. What?
I'm just since nobody else can see the document that we're working with, and nobody else can see what order we put all of these brackets in. The only thing is that there are blue ones and there are orange ones. And I've been trying to keep up. The orange ones swept the Mace prediction. Every single orange
Oh,
bracket,
you're right.
every single orange bracket called Mace winning in round 2. Every single one. There were a couple in blues, but all of the I'm like going through them one at a time, and I'm like, oh, like as I'm seeing, it's like watching the legs of a parlay hit one after another, and you're like, dang.
It's like that gif of like Joe Rogan during that UFC fight where he starts shaking the other guys when the fight starts. But no, and like Eli made a joke here as I was talking about the absolute unit that Luke becomes in Shadow of the Sith. You're absolutely right. I think again, and I said this when we did Luke versus Bane. I think that Luke, whenever he see him like doing the crazy force projection on Crate, like the way we see him moving, like that Matrix bullshit, I maintain that is something Luke could do. I maintain that like the reason why he did that was because like it made like that Kylo wouldn't have gone, whoa, what was that?
Yeah.
Is because like that's something Luke was actually capable of, and I think that Luke has like the incredible agility, the incredible power in the Force. We see Luke take on like Imperial walkers by himself without an issue. Like, and again, not that that's necessarily like not that translates directly into like lightsaber combat, but his level of cool, his level of calm, his understanding of the Jedi arts. We see him like in a dark side Force Nexus take on like the ghost of a Sith Lord twice and win both times handily. Stellan is incredible. Stellan is an incredible academic. He's an incredible warrior. He serves valiantly during the Battle of Valo. And again, I want to give Stellan his flowers. I think we gave Stellan plenty of flowers already. I think Luke takes this. I truly do. I think this is not a cakewalk for Luke.
No,
I don't see Luke breaking. Luke is not going to break a hell of a sweat though.
Stellan is a marathon duelist, and especially with someone as mobile a fighter as Luke is, like it's going to be kind of the fight for his life. I want to say, like, because Luke moves and he moves a lot, but Stellan, he's like, when we see him on Valo, he's like taking headbutts from people and is like physically exhausted to the point
literally poisoned.
He's literally poisoned. And he's physically exhausted almost to the point of death, and he's still fighting. Like his determination alone, his endurance is nuts. It is crazy how much of a licking Stellan Gios can take, and he keeps on ticking. But Nyman is not the greatest in this situation against somebody like Luke, who hits really hard and is like throwing kicks in there too. I mean, he still has. I think you're right. I think we've given Stellan a decent amount of flowers. We don't need to flesh it all out, but I don't love his odds here, and the sheer power of an application of Luke's force ability offensively. Stellan.
That is like just sword fight alone. I truly think this might be the first one that we say like outright is one with force abilities. Like there's he's taking Stellan off his feet and into the air with the force. But yeah, moving over to the other side of the bracket for round 2. Jedi Master Dooku versus Darth Sidious. All right, Spencer, are you ready to have a tough conversation?
No. I was
no.
If I'm honest, I have not really put any amount of thought into it yet. I was still tallying results from the Stellan versus Luke matchup.
No, you're good. For this one, this is where using Darth Sidious is semi-paradoxical and difficult in a versus setting, which is why it took us 4 seasons to become brave enough to do it. On technique, Dooku takes this. On physical attributes, Dooku takes this handily. The issue, well, on every physical attribute but speed, Dooku takes this. Saber skills, Dooku walks away handily. Do you think Dooku has the technique to match Sidious's speed? Jedi Master Dooku. So like he can't try to, meet Sidious's lightning. Like this is going to be a tight one for Dooku.
I think I have a thought. I'm going to try to think of other thoughts while I say this one for the sake of time, because I'm trying to think of, okay, there's one example, but what else have we got to work with? So my first example is the obvious, his matchup with Yoda in the hangar on Geonosis.
Yaddle.
Yoda
on Geonosis, I'm sorry.
Yoda is about as fast as one person could be by themselves. And I'm also thinking of Dooku versus Anakin and Obi-Wan simultaneously on the Invisible Hand. And, movie choreography aside for the limitations of the human person and making it look cool, let's just assume, because why wouldn't we, that Dooku is fighting Anakin and Obi-Wan's full capability simultaneously.
Yeah.
Like ignoring when people conveniently pause for a split second until the actor is ready for that point of the choreography. Like that's movie making. That's so it looks good. But if we're to extrapolate from that, it's like, no, this is Dooku fighting Anakin and Obi-Wan simultaneously at their best. And he does it. I mean, he realizes that it's a ticking clock. Like he can't keep doing this for a while, so he incapacitates Obi-Wan. He removes him from the fight for a minute so that he can handle one of them at a time. And I believe that Dooku thinks he is disabling the more dangerous combatant when he does that. It turns out very poorly for him in that situation. He's able to still meet the speed of two very much younger and faster fighters than him. Maybe not Obi-Wan is much faster, but he's keeping pace with both of them at the same time. We see him do it on multiple occasions. So do I think Dooku can match Sidious's speed?
Can he out technique the speed? Yeah.
If we are assuming that Dooku knows what Sidious is capable of, and he's not if Dooku is going into this understanding what he has to do to win, swords from swordsmanship and technique, I think, but I don't know.
Eli is seething that we are spending this much time on this. He is seething.
Of course he is.
No, I think Dooku stands a better chance than one would think at first glance.
But we cannot remove force from this equation.
And that's what I was about to say. I do think once the force powers come into play, I think if Dooku is able to again out technique the speed, Sidious is going to be like, oh, okay, so I have to cook you alive.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's going to be Sidious breaks away, and it's just going to be torrents of lightning and dirty fighting telekinesis. At which point, I do think this heavily starts to tip into Sidious's favor. So I think this is closer than most people would say. I do think we put Sidious over, but not by as much as I think he'd like.
I agree. I think it's comfortable once you factor in the. It won't take long for Sidious to kick on force ability, but also Sidious just loves to be right too much. Where I think he's going to try to toy with Dooku a little bit, but he's going to quickly realize that like he can't toy with Dooku quite as well as he can toy with Maul and Savage. And so it's going to like, okay, that's quite enough. And then he's just going to like unleash a torrent of hellish lightning on him, and Dooku, he's only got the one blade. Sidious has got two. So like Dooku can't block with one blade and then still try to keep pace with the blade work with the other. He's either going to have to take the lightning himself or give up his only offensive weapon.
Yeah.
And defensive weapon for that matter. So
also Donovan, no, there is no prep time. They're just kind of dropped cold into the fight. So yeah, Sidious goes over there. I think this one's going to be pretty open and shut, as much as I don't want to watch my girl go out of the fight. Exar Kun versus Reva. Exar Kun is one of the greatest. He trailblazed so much of lightsaber combat as we know it. He is so tricky. He is so crafty. I think Exar uses the same tactics that Reva uses to defeat Qui-Gon, but he just does it better and more viciously. I think this is a easy one. Exar Kun over Reva. Like, she's so severely out of her weight class here.
For sure.
All right. So we're moving on from that one. Shock T versus Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I'm giving it to Kenobi. I'm not really thinking very hard right now. I'm trying to catch up with the tally, but I think Kenobi wins. In short form, Obi-Wan wins.
I think Obi-Wan takes it at the end of the day. This is a difficult fight. I think this is a fight that goes on for a while because neither of them are going to slow down. Either of them are going to get tired. I think it's just going to come down to Obi-Wan doing what Obi-Wan does and eventually just kind of working you down. And being able to find that like tiny little chink in the armor. But I do think Obi-Wan on a technical level can beat Shock. Like, again, this is again, it's easy to call this one, but it's very, very tight. But yeah, I like Eli just said, it's not easy, but Obi-Wan wins. I think I'm inclined to agree with that. And again, we have another kind of open and shut one here.
Oh man, go ahead. Talk through it.
No, you're good.
Catching up with the tally.
No, you're good. I'm just like, we kind of hit a spur of ones that are like very clear cut going into round 3. Cal Kestis versus Darth Bane. I think Cal is a very talented swordsman. I think he's going to give Darth Bane a run for his money, especially because this is Dynasty of Evil Bane. So, he's not a young man anymore, nor does he have the Orbalisk armor to protect him. I think on a technical level, Cal is going to show Bane exactly what a Jedi kind of let off his chain is capable of. However, at the end of the day, I think Darth Bane is just, such a powerhouse of the dark side. I don't think Cal's ready for the heat that Darth Bane has at the end of the day, in terms of technique, in terms of the Force abilities. I don't think that's a balanced fight at all, and that's the fun of this bracket. Normally the round one ones are the ones that it's like Force God versus Youngling sometimes, where it's like this is not balanced at all. Almost the entire back half of round 2 is like, and you're done, and you're done, and you're done, and you're done, and you're done. Like people kind of dropping like flies. So yeah, are you finishing up tabulating round 2?
Yes. If you want to polish off the last 2 blues, I'll jump into the oranges.
Yeah, sure. The last 2 blues we need. Okay. And it's just that last matchup that they need ironed out.
Yeah, there should be 8 numbers apiece in round 2, and I think I got through 7 up there.
Okay. All right, in the chat, how's everybody feeling about their brackets right now? Anybody who submitted, how are we feeling? I think if this was a team sport, orange is just busted. I mean, good
Also,
job.
are you in the thing right now? Can you see what I just highlighted?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that person is cooking with gas right now.
I will say, I don't think there's any harm in saying this. Somebody out of the 10 brackets that were submitted, somebody swept round 2. They got every single prediction correct according to the bracket that they submitted. Again, if that's you and you're listening, I don't know who's listening, so it could be any of them. If that's you and you're listening, let's keep the thrill of the suspense for everybody else.
All right. And we're just putting like the end of round total. So like accumulated with round one.
Just to keep it easy, let's total the round and then at the end we can total the rounds.
Oh, so we're just totaling the round, not what they have by the end. Okay.
I mean, we could do it either way. What do you which would you rather do? Let's just
I already changed it. Let's just do the end of the round.
End of the round, okay.
All right. Oh man. The third blue is not doing great.
And oh, it makes me happy.
Indubitably.
Okay. Wait,
am I? Are the last two? Are they up to date? Is that right? That doesn't look right.
Huh?
The last two in blue.
No, the last two blues are not, they don't have all of the results.
I thought I put them in. Shit.
Yeah, they're missing 2. The last 2 matchups.
Oh, the last
two. Missing Obi-Wan versus Shock and Cal versus Bane.
Okay. Okay. My bad.
No problem. I'm sure that they are glad we caught that.
Yeah, I would have shortchanged them. All right. And then go to this person. Okay. Wrong document. Shit. Okay.
All right.
All right. We got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
I'll go ahead and grab that last
total.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, folks. We are getting to the wire here. So hopefully we are going to be able to I'm feeling it, Mr. Spooner. I'm going to start saying that all the time. All right. So we're moving in to our quarterfinals here. With Kyle Katarn versus Darth Crate. Are you ready to break a bracket, Spencer?
Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold on. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm always ready to break a bracket. I'm just double checking to make sure we have enough numbers.
Do you think I'm crazy if I say Kyle Katarn wins?
I mean, not outright. I don't think you're outright crazy. Not that I don't think Kyle can beat him outright. I don't like. I'm not dismissing that notion out of hand. Is what I'm trying to say.
I think Kyle, because here's my rationale. Okay. Cade Skywalker, just using him as like a baseline, was able to hold his own against Crate. Now, granted, Crate was holding back because he needed Cade. but he was able to hold his own. He was able to kind of get some good footing there. I think with somebody with the skill set Kyle has, and with the finesse and the talent, he will be able to, at the very least, put up a good defense against Crate. I think Kyle can do it. Like, this is tight. Like, if Kyle wins, he is limping away from this battle and he might be missing a hand. Like, I do not want to make this sound like I think Kyle like steamrolls Darth Crate. There's nobody steamrolls Darth Crate. That is a preposterous thing to say. But I think it's doable. And if anybody can do it, I think it's Kyle. I think Kyle can do it.
I don't know. I mean, let's think about.
I don't think Kyle has the power to beat Crate. It would definitely be a good fight. And there are scenarios where Kyle wins, but Crate literally invented new force powers. Sure, he literally invented new force powers. And I'm not going to deny that, again, Crate is, in my opinion, one of the all-time greats. I just think that Kyle is a crafty and shifty enough fighter. You know, like again, lest we forget, like Cade Skywalker was able to kill Darth Crate because he was fucking around. Eli, piss off. I don't want you to lose. I'm being fair. This is not retribution for EC, although you deserve it. No, I do sincerely. I think Kyle could do it. I think that, you know, again, like I think Darth Crate is just so dominant that like he's one of those people that like you kind of need to be crafty and a little shitty to do it. And we've said before, like Kyle Katarn is not a dirty fighter. You know, his opening move is not to kick you in your nuts. But if there comes a point where I have to kick you in the nuts, he's gonna kick you in the nuts. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I think he can do it. I think he can do it. I don't like razor thin margin here. Razor thin margin. I think Kyle Katarn can beat Darth Crate. You don't seem sold.
I'm not sold.
This is true.
Don't. Could he do it? The case can be made. Like you could argue that he could, but like out of 1,000, I don't think he takes the majority. What Kyle brings to the table as a swordsman is very respectable. And I would, in a sheer blade work evaluation, I would lean toward favoring Kyle as a battle master, but particularly his applications of Gemso and Shicho influencing his offensive capability. Like Darth Crate as a 9-man specialist, I'm not super fond of that outcome for him. Like he has 2 blades to work with, and so that gives him a working advantage in just the options that he has at his disposal as a master of Jar Kai. But with Kyle having that more aggressive fighting style, I don't know that I love 9-man up against that combination, even though I know that Crate is still a power fighter. Like he's still swinging really hard and hitting really hard, despite the fact that Jarkai and Nyman are not known for being strength forms. But also, Crate is a really, really defensive powerhouse martially.
Okay.
Like he's really difficult to break through, even if you are coming at it with strength and the simplicity that allows the force to flow through you, as we often talk about with Ji Cho, and the mobility of Kyle. I think Kyle might be getting in over his head martially, and here's why. I think that Kyle's going to come at Darth Crate expecting him to be big and kind of lumbering and immobile. What he's going to find is that Crate is immobile, but only in the sense that like you can't hit him hard enough for him to like he's like a rock and like an unstoppable force and immovable object. Like it's not that Crate can't get around, it's that like you can't hit him hard enough to stagger him. And I don't think that you could outfence Crate if you're Kyle Katarn. In the force realm, I think that even goes even further against Kyle, because while Kyle, like we established earlier, has a very competitive and useful, practical set of skills at his disposal in terms of his force, like he can throw saber if he has to. He's got some really good telekinetic ability in a mix of that and lightning attacks and Tutu Minas even. Those are great and useful skills to have, but it's like nothing that Crate can't do and do better, in my opinion. So between those two,
pause. We are not using Vong implant Crate. We are using Crate after his resurrection. That's to Eli's comment. That is so busted. That is so busted and not fair. At that rate, we might as well use Orblisk Armor Bane too. Absolutely not.
So, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to like put my foot down. I don't think you can convince me that Kyle wins the majority of the time. Like out of 1,000,
you've convinced me. I'm happy to give it to Crate.
Out of 1,000, I think Kyle can do it. I think Kyle can do it. Like when you were starting out, you were like, I think Kyle can do it. And I was just like, I mean, yeah, I think he can. But I don't think he would. Like out of like running the sim 1,000 times, this would fall somewhere in like the 25% to 75%. Could Kyle do it? Sure, but like maybe a quarter of the time. I think 75% of the time, it ends up decidedly in Crate's favor. I
think it's less than 75, but that is a hair we can split another time. So I will concede. I agree. I think we can put Crate over.
Spacecraft. That's the coolest of the incorrect names I've gotten so far. Spacecraft. Nice.
That's a good one. What a great bit. What a great bit. Not using your name. It's so funny. Moving over here to our last to form our semifinals. Mace Windu versus Luke Skywalker. Everything I said about Luke stands. At the end of the day, I think Luke is as good as you can get without like a centralized Jedi order and like academic apparatus. You know, I think Mace ekes out a win here. I think it's narrow. I think that, I think Luke is going to put him on his back foot, and Mace is going to see like just how good a Boken Jedi, as Baylan Skoll would say, can be. But I think Mace can finesse Luke like handily. like definitively that's it. I mean, I don't think Luke has. I do not think he has the technique necessary to take Mace on, because that's the thing. Is that, like, again, as much as people want to talk about Mace Windu, like he's this like overwhelming force of nature, I don't. I don't like that interpretation of him, because I do think he's truly like this like very technical fighter, who can be a whirlwind when he has to be, but. Yeah, I like Mace here. Spencer?
I'm inclined to agree. Give me 1 second. I think the reason why I'm inclined to agree is that, like, Luke by this point, Shadow of the Sith, has had years of training, of honing his craft under his belt, while still arguably under the greatest teachers in, or among some of the greatest teachers in the history of the Order. Certainly the greatest teachers from the Clone Wars era that are like kind of hanging around. Like, he's learning from Obi-Wan, he's learning from Luke, or from Yoda rather, and potentially even in his later years learning from Anakin Skywalker himself.
Yeah,
from Master Qui-Gon. Like, these are some of the great philosophic teachers, certainly, but also still they can kick it. Like, they can really kick it. So I don't want to discount. I don't want to discount Luke's tutelage. He has not gotten the wealth of available knowledge that Mace had access to. And where I'm going with that is, like, on a power alone level, I think that comparatively they're on equal footing. You could make an argument that a Skywalker's a Skywalker and nothing can change that. But, like, okay. But Mace is still ridiculously powerful.
Yes.
He's also had access to better quality study of the Force and study of his blade work than Luke has. Luke is comparatively outclassing everybody from this era because the available knowledge is very limited. Mace outclassed everyone in his era when there was a wealth of knowledge available, a wealth of study, a wealth of application, even against saber-wielding opponents. Like, he could spar with other members of the Order. He did go toe-to-toe with other saber-wielding combatants during the Clone Wars. So I think where Mace could get in some trouble here is in the Force application combatively. I think that when Luke starts throwing, and like Mace has got a respectable telekinetic barrier, but Luke hits like a freight train telekinetically. So
I think he can break his barrier.
Gets into a lot of trouble is when Luke starts integrating not just like kicks and stuff, because Luke loved kicking apparently, but also like throwing some force pushes in there. It's going to hit Mace like a freight train, and it might give Luke enough of an opening to close the distance and finish it. I think in the scenarios when Luke wins, that's how it goes. I think in the scenarios where Mace wins,
he keeps the pressure up and just
wails on him. Like, in the same way that Luke did to Vader on Death Star 2, like, that's how I see Mace beating Luke. So then the question is, and this is for the listeners that listen monthly, this is where the tactical ability and mindset category can make or break a fight. Which one happens first? And which one wins out? Like, does Mace go on a whirlwind offensive from the beginning? When does he amp up? Like, after the first time he gets hit with a really nasty telekinetic blast, is that when he ramps up? Is it too late at that point? Like, That's what's hanging me up right now.
I
Both
am
these guys
inclined.
has the power to kick the other one's butt. The question for me is like, which scenario prevails? Which version of this fight?
I'm inclined to say that Mace. I'm inclined to say that Mace is in touch with the Force enough and is combatively intelligent enough to know that he cannot let up on Luke. I think he's going to be like, "Oh, you could probably put me on my ass," and I don't think it's likely that Mace will probe long enough for Luke to be able to let something like that off. I think if you like, for example, if this were Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Jedi Master Luke Skywalker, Obi-Wan's not making it. Because Obi-Wan will probe, it's like it's one of my favorite episodes of any versus series ever, Obi-Wan versus Plagueis. Like Obi-Wan is so probing that like by the time you draw that force power card, it would be too late for Plagueis. With Mace, it's the opposite. I think Mace would sense like you're way too powerful for me to give you the opportunity to be able to call on the Force. So I need to make sure you're focusing all of your energy, all of your concentration, all of your ability to call on the Force to bolster your physical being to face me in a sword fight. So that's why I like Mace here. I think he will successfully wail on Luke until it's game over. And he's able to finesse Luke.
I don't want to think of Shatterpoint like a cheat code, but to what extent does that passive ability reveal that to him? Like, does Mace recognize that like this is you got to come in hot and fast?
I think I just think Luke is such a beacon of light in the Force. He's going to be like, "Oh man, you're powerful." And that Mace isn't going to let himself get caught unawares. Like, I think part of it is why in, the Revenge of the Sith Sidious fight, I think it's why Mace like lays into Sidious as much as he does. He doesn't let him get an inch, like Mace, like even when it is like kind of dangerous for Mace, he stays in Sidious's grill.
Yeah.
Because he knows like the moment the Force powers come out, it's going to be a problem. And I think that's also why he was. I think partially that's why Mace was so quick to be willing to execute the Emperor, because if Sidious was able to pop off with his Force powers, he knows like I am in such a compromised place if it just turns into he can touch the Force, because at that point the veil is fallen on Palpatine, and it's like, oh, like you're just a black hole in the Force of darkness. So on that level, I think Mace is going to know that I need to wail on you. And if I don't, you're going to be able to probably take me off my feet and, kind of swoop in and go for a finisher. So I say Mace on that ground.
I think for the sake of time, I agree with that decision. With more analysis, I might come down maybe differently. Again, out of 1,000, it's up in the air, but I think there's enough in favor of Mace here to call it for now.
Okay, so Mace advances. Mace Windu, the Master of Vape, advances to the semifinals to face Darth Krayt. But first, we got to sort a couple things out. First things first, Darth Sidious versus Exar Kun. Again, these are one of those situations where it's like Exar Kun on a technical level is better, but Darth Sidious is more powerful in the Force. I think that Darth Sidious, again, these are one of those situations where Darth Sidious will have to try. But I think it is light work for Sidious, so I do think he defeats Exar Kun. Again, it's one of those situations where I don't think it's a cakewalk, but once Sidious realizes, oh, I actually have to like exert myself a little bit, he will walk away with that W. Onto the other side here, Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Darth Bane. I think Obi-Wan Kenobi could, quite honestly, take Bane in a straight sword fight. The problem is that Darth Bane is going to use very, very, very liberal use of his Force powers. And those kinds of torrents of lightning and telekinesis, Again, as Eli alluded to earlier, Darth Bane brought down a temple on a man's fucking head. Telekinesis like that, he might liquefy Obi-Wan. So I don't. These are one of those situations where I don't like to use Obi-Wan against people who are just juggernauts with the Force, but
because it's like raw talent versus honed and refined ability. Like Obi-Wan is the shining example of a slightly above average in terms of power, but like, man, he makes it up in study.
He puts the work in.
He can hang with the best of them because he puts in the work.
And Bane is terrifying because he has the raw power and the training. He put in the work on top of being nigh unstoppable. So we are going to say Darth Bane for this matchup, which brings us to our semifinal. Spencer, are you ready to jump into this, or we got to iron out some numbers here?
I got 3 out of the 4 numbers in from round 3. Just give me a second.
All right, let me help you do this. Unless I don't want to throw you off. If where are you at? Oh, okay. You're just bonking those out real quick. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just going like 5 at a time.
Excellent. If
you want to start totaling though.
Yeah. 1 second. Cool. Okay, so these are our totals. Like we don't need any more numbers here for round 3.
The Blues are good. I think there should be 4 numbers in round 3.
Okay, cool. Thank you guys for your patience. Thank you to everybody who's tuning in live. Thank you to anybody who's watching the replay of this, by the way. Putting up with some slower airtime here. Oh, it makes me happy to see one of these be so wrong. It makes me happy to see 2 of these be so wrong. I'll let the folks at home do the math on that one. Is this? All right. How are our 2 leaders doing right now? How are they faring?
Who are the which what do you mean by 2 leaders? You mean
Orange 2 and Orange 3?
I mean, they both put up solid numbers in round 3. I mean, I think they're if we want to do like a I can total up the while you vamp for the.
Oh no, you're good. I'm happy to get the grand total at the end.
Okay.
But
and I think let's keep rocking. Man,
round 2 was brutal for one of these people. Like brutal in terms of like they sunned round 2.
This, let me just say, I'm willing to admit where we have room to improve. Like the scoring of these brackets would have been so much neater with like a notepad and tally marks. Like
next time we do this physically,
we're looking at binary computer code right now. It's just a mess. It's a mess.
It is kind of hard to look at.
All right, let's jump in.
Semifinals: Darth Krayt versus Mace Windu. Mace Windu wins. I'm not doing it. I think he could win. I think he does win. I think Mace has the technique. I think Mace has the endurance. I think Mace on the back of Vapad is going to be able to channel that dark side energy into that superconducting loop to push him forward. I think that, again, Darth Krayt, yes, he has all these thousands of battlefield kills, and sure, that's great. It's incredible. It makes him one of the GOATs. He is one of my GOATs. He is second only to Darth Vader, in my opinion. But I don't think it's anything Mace isn't prepared to deal with. I think that again, I think Mace. I think there is such a thing as enslavement to technique. Um, and because of that, a lot of the time when you'll have unconventional fighters, they can kind of throw off your more by the book people. I don't think that's the case here. I think Mace has such an understanding of technique that he understands where it needs to be malleable. So I like Mace here. Again, I think this is a situation where he's going to know, like, he needs to be able to engage Crate, but also be water. And if his performance against Darth Sidious is anything to go by, I like his ability to keep somebody who, I think in terms of force power, absolutely outclasses him by a magnitude. I like him here. So I'm taking Mace to the finals. Spencer, how are you feeling?
I'm inclined to agree, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm inclined to agree.
All right. Well, jumping over to our other semifinal match, Darth Sidious versus Darth Bane, two individuals who would both argue over whether or not they themselves are the Sithari. And this might be another upset. I think Bane wins this one. I think he is durable enough. I think he has enough technique. I don't know. Had it not been for bizarre Sith sorcery, like literally cleaving Bane's arm off, like he could have tanked through that pain. And I think by the time that Darth Sidious is like, okay, you're too much, I need to use my force powers, I do think Bane can tank it. I do think Bane is going to be able to work through the Sith lightning and be able to like push through. Like, I think it is part of the beauty of the rule of two, like the beginning and the end of the rule of two lineage. That Bane's whole thing is like, we're gonna, or that the whole idea of the rule of two is, we're going to sacrifice our armor for cloaks. We are not bludgeons, we are daggers, and we move in the dark of night. And I think Bane has the combative acumen to be able to take out Sidious. How are you feeling?
Mentally exhausted, if I'm 100% honest, man. This is tough. Like, we do this
is why we
it, but it's just like a marathon going after it as this many times. Like, oh man, my brain hurts. But I think I agree with you.
Again, like, Bane is unrecognizable by the end of this fight.
I think I agree with you. I don't know. I don't know if I like. Well,
all-powerful Conqueror Nub says, just popping in for a sec, but you should do Jarek versus Grand Inquisitor next season. I know it's niche, but it would be cool. We have Grand Inquisitor lined up for one next season, but that is absolutely something we would consider for season 6. I was thinking about using Jarek at some point soon as well. And I can't believe that is not Eli's burner account. Because Eli already knows the matchup we're using for Grand Inquisitor because he's guesting on that episode, which is hilarious.
I can convince me that Bane can handle Sidious's speed, and I'll give it to him.
At his old age, Darth Bane, while he's doing his katas at the beginning of Dynasty of Evil, is moving. So he's training in the rain. And granted, I think this verbiage is I think it's waxing poetic, but it talks about how he's moving so quickly to block himself from the rain that like he's barely touched by a drop at all.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
Now, again, do I think he is literally moving so fast that he is deflecting raindrops? No, but he's moving hella fast. And he's able to keep up with Zana, and he is able to move at a brisk pace. He's like under the influence of poisons and shit, and he is still like running through that one base that he's held in. I do think Bane has the physical acumen to handle the pain from Sidious's lightning, because that's the big thing. I think he can do it. And honestly, maybe Bane drops dead from the lightning, but I don't think it will be until after he's already pierced Sidious's heart.
I think I'm comfortable giving it to Bane. I was like my big hang up. We haven't talked about Bane in a hot minute. And so I was like, I don't know, like Sidious is really fast. It's kind of like, aside from the force,
That's his thing.
His main.
I don't have to be good if you can't see me.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm comfortable with Bane. I'm tabulating now. I'm telling you.
You're good. I say this is easier to tabulate because it's only one match, or only two matchups.
Right. It's like two numbers now. We're down to two numbers, which does make things a little bit easier. I'm gonna. Here's what I'm gonna do. Actually, why don't you get us started on the final round matchup?
Yes,
which is worth 5 points. If you correctly predict who wins the entire bracket, that is a 5-point prediction. So what I'm going to do, at the end of each of these rows, I'm going to just do like 4 numbers from each of the rounds, so they're all in one place, so we can tally them up.
So just to go over how we got here. Kyle Katarn defeated Kanan Jarrus. Lord Starkiller defeated Lord Vader. Porter Angle defeated Mandalore Maul. Stellan Gios defeated Ahsoka Tano. Kyle Katarn defeated Darth Vader. Darth Krayt defeated Lord Starkiller. Mace Windu defeated Porter Angle. And Luke Skywalker defeated Stellan Gios. Darth Krayt overcame Kyle Katarn, and Mace Windu eked out a win against Luke Skywalker. Mace Windu is the finalist from the winner side of the bracket. Jedi Master Dooku outfenced Dagan Gera. Reva overcame Qui-Gon Jinn. Shaak Ti defeated Battlemaster Sindralig. And Cal Kestis bested the Jedi Hunter General Grievous. Darth Sidious beat his eventual pupil in Dooku. Exar Kun made short work of Reva. Obi-Wan Kenobi ekes out a win against Shaak Ti in a defensive battle that would be kind of boring to watch, but very impressive. And Cal Kestis never stood a chance against the Sithari. Moving into the final rounds here, Darth Sidious is able to defeat Exar Kun, and Darth Bane liquefies Obi-Wan Kenobi. And then Darth Sidious fell to the first guy to call himself the Sithari, resulting in our final matchup of Mace Windu versus Darth Bane. Spencer, how do you feel?
My scale is at the outset tipping favorably toward Bane, but not decisively. I think if any matchup deserves some more careful examination, the final round is that one. If Mace can beat Krayt in the semis, then I think he has the potential to beat Bane in the final. Bane is scrappy. like he's got here's an interesting matchup because we're dealing with two different Form 7 specialists.
Yes.
We're dealing with Bane's personal acrobatic and yet defensive twist on Juya and Mace's Vapad twist on the same form. I think pitting those two against each other, I'm kind of favoring Mace because I think he'll be able to keep pace with Bane, but like Bane has got so much evil in him that like when you're talking about Vapad in the hands of Mace Windu, the bigger and the badder the opponent, the more like Mace is able to realistically rise to meet that. And I think that terminates at a point where like, you know, it'd be a total, like, was it like a cheat code for Mace if it was just like however powerful his opponent is, Mace is going to be that same amount of powerful whenever he fights dark side opponents. I don't think it's quite that simple. Like, at what point does that formula stop working? And I think it might get to a point of terminal velocity with Bane, where Bane's just complete dark side magnitude is like Mace realizes what needs to happen. I don't know though. Like, this is all theoretical. Like, I'm just shooting some ideas out there. Like, at what point does Mace's tapping into the rage of his opponent reach like a terminal velocity? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does it reach a hard ceiling?
I do think there is a ceiling that he hits eventually. And honestly, I think part of that ceiling is going to have to do with how much of his energy he can funnel into doing that. At the end of the day, I think Bane wins.
I think so too.
I think Bane, again, this is a narrow win. I think that eventually, like, Bane has, again, like Bane moves in a way that is just so uniquely him. You know, like there's a physicality to Darth Bane that like he haven't quite ever replicated. You know, that I think is going to be able to. I think he's going to be able to get through Mace. I really do. I think that there is enough. Like, I think you know. I don't know how to qualify it, and again, this is why the A beats B, C equals whatever logic doesn't work, because I think Darth Krayt beats Darth Bane. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, I think Darth Bane has like the specific skill set that, like, you know, Vapad has its limits, and I think that Mace can handle the specific skill set that Darth Krayt has. I think that eventually Darth Bane is going to be craftier in the end and more resilient and eventually break that guard. And also I think Bane can let off the force abilities a lot easier and a lot faster. You know, I think that like Bane is more inclined to open with just like a shower of force lightning to put you on your back foot, which again could increase Mace's output, but like Darth Bane is just so like a fucking cockroach refusing to die. I think Bane wins. I like Darth Bane at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think so too. I like Bane in this situation.
Are you ready to call it?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the champion of Versus Series Season 4, coming from the loser's side of the bracket, mind you, the Sithari Darth Bane. And after a tabulation that Spencer has been rattling off, it looks like our winner of our giveaway is the commissioner of Epic Confrontations himself, Eli, from the Star Wars in a Galaxy podcast. So, Eli, I'll be reaching out to you pretty soon here to get your info so I can send you some sick TNAP merch on the house, my friend.
I was kind of like, man, does he have a time machine or what? Eli only missed 2 predictions in the first 3 rounds. Not 2 predictions in round 3. He missed 1 prediction in round 1 and 1 prediction in round 3, and he nailed the second round. Absolutely nailed it.
Shut out in round 2. The runner-up, who I think she'll be okay on racking up some TNAP merch, is my lovely girlfriend, Taylor, who I just need to emphasize built her bracket on vibes and information by osmosis and is in second place. Eli came out at 34 points. Taylor not far behind him at 26, with Connor bringing up the third place with 25
on the podium.
So thank you all so very much for watching. We're going to cut this short here for the outro. Thank you to all of our patrons, $5, $10, especially Buck O'Brien, Armin from ConkbookCast, Eli himself, Ray Clausen, Paco, Keandre Lloyd. Thank you to all of our patrons. Very much appreciate all of your support, helping us put these shows together. Very, very honorable from Eli, GG Taylor. But thank you all so very much for watching and tuning in. We're going to be ending this stream because I have to go to the bathroom and I'm taping an episode of Ionized Bastards immediately, and Spencer needs to go to bed. So
No, I just want to put this out there. When Jared asked me if I was all right moving the time of our live stream for this event up a bit, like earlier in the day, I was like, the last time we did a bracket like this, it went for like 3.5 hours. So like, that's fine. That just means I'm not staying up any later than, but like 8:30 is not my for real bedtime.
Just because you were were talking about being mentally exhausted, and Taylor says go to bed, Spencer. So you have the blessings of everybody to turn in early if you so wish. But
no, I was planning to read something, just something that doesn't require me to make decisions.
No, choose your own adventures. But I'm going to get going. Tune in to Ionized Bastards this Friday. Thank you all so very much for watching. If you enjoyed this show, subscribe to the Patreon at the $5 or the $10 tier. Both will get you access to the Knights of the Nerd Republic Versus series. $10 tier gets you a shout out at the end of every episode. So thank you all so very much for watching. We look forward to seeing you in the fighting pit again, and may the Force be with you always.